Perhaps one of the online members of the club can forward the handout on chat so that our two guests have it. It'll make more sense. If you remember 2 words from my talk, start anywhere. My basic message is anything can be the start of your next talk. It can be a song that you hear, a song that you've written, a story, an event, something that happens to you, something that you read, a movie you go to. So the handout, this page is, you haven't flipped cameras. There we go. So this side is the, I'm going to say the simplest side, which is what I'll mostly talk from. This is the same information, but far more detailed. Any part of your eventual speech can be where the speech starts in your head. So this page, this side, starts with power phrase and gestures, because if you want your talk to be remembered, then a power phrase and a power gesture is the best way to do that, particularly if it has an emotional connection with you, with the audience. In this case, my power phrase is start anywhere. Down all the way at the bottom, there's speechcraft. There's all the details that we teach in Toastmasters about using your voice and where you are on stage, clever words and clever phrases, and everything in between, the opening, the close, the introduction you give to the Toastmaster, the title, having a clear message, which is related but not necessarily the same as the power phrase. The final speech has to have all of these elements. The relative importance depends on what you're doing and whether this is a quick speech, a table topic, or something that will win you the World Championship of Public Speaking. How much you work depends on the situation. So let me give you some examples. My last tall tale contest speech a half a year ago started with hearing a song on one of my drives, Electric Lady, 2 words, titled the song. That led to an entire speech. An afternoon with my dad led to my last international contest speech. In fact, not just the afternoon, but basically 10 minutes of that afternoon turned into something that drove me. I had to turn it into a speech because I had to understand it myself. And then something told me I had to share it. So a quick story led to a whole speech. Another international contest speech I did several years ago came from 3 words that my grandfather always would tell me: learn the truth, which was his way of saying, get an education. He taught himself English, so I had to, if you will, adjust or translate. Ideas can be anything. Start anywhere. Anything that grabs you might be something that you want to turn into a speech, because it might be something you have to share. You have to explain to yourself and to the people around you. So it can be any of the things on here. It can be a challenge from Sharon. But you have to let yourself start. So as you go through the day and you're appreciating the wonders of the world around you, your friends, your colleagues, nature, the activities that you have, keep your mind open, because you never know when something might be the seeds of an idea, but you have to be open to it, because you can start anywhere. We'll talk a little bit about this second page where there's more details. purpose of a talk. You got to know what the purpose of your talk is. And the way I've come to think about purpose is that in one way, shape, or form, you are creating change in your audience. There's 4 possible changes. You might be trying to change what someone knows about a subject. In other words, you're trying to inform them. You might be trying to persuade them. They might be thinking this, and you might try to get them over here. So you're trying to change their opinion on something. You might be trying to motivate them. They may already think the same way you do, but you want to kick up their energy level. Motivate them. And finally, in this day where we have cell phones and emails and text messages and all kinds of things that can distract us, you might want to entertain them. For a brief, shining moment, you might want to get their attention to you and whatever message you have, instead of all the million things that can distract them, which means you're trying to change, for at least a short period of time, their focus, because that's what entertainment is. So those are the types of purposes that you might have. Any of them and any mix of those can be the origin of a speech. And then off on the right side here is something a little bit nerdy, and it's mostly there for Drake. Because Drake told me when he joined Toastmasters, he was really interested in logic and in Aristotle. You mentioned that, I think, in your icebreaker, if I remember right. These 3 words come from Aristotle. Much of speaking is very old. Aristotle said 2,300 years ago that in a speech you want to address ethos, logos, and pathos. And how the ancient Greeks pronounced those words, I don't got a clue. So I did the best I could. You have to establish, why are you speaking? Now, it can be in the introduction you give the Toastmaster. It could be in something you say or your name, whatever. Your ethos. Pathos is appeal to the emotion of the audience. And logos is appeal to reason, to logic. Depending on your purpose, depending on your topic, a mix of those 3 needs to be in almost every talk. And then down at the bottom, speechcraft. The fundamentals we deal in Toastmasters using your voice, using the stage, which I've done maybe passably today, and descriptive language. So this is, if you will, a cheat sheet of how a speech needs to end up having these various elements. But again, the message is you start anywhere. Anything, anywhere in this page can be where your speech starts. You just have to have your eyes open for it. Start anywhere, but start. Madam Susan.